What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for our Monday Night Raw review for November the 15th, 2021. The Survivor Series Go Home Show. Now, we usually see on these Survivor Series teams, the final build, the final push towards the pay-per-view. Yes, we got that tonight. What we didn't see, and I'm glad we didn't see, was what we saw from like 2016 up until I think last year, was we'd have this on the final go home shows, and I'm sure we'll see this on Friday. The groups of like Team SmackDown would come here and invade and attack Raw, and Raw would do it vice versa. Didn't see that tonight. Fine, whatever. Monday night, like last weekend, WWE went out of their way to announce who was going to be on Raw and SmackDown Survivor Series teams. Since then, Monday Night Raw's, by the time this night was over, Monday Night Raw's men's team has not had one, but two changes to the team's outlook. With Bobby Lashley taking from Dominic Mysterio, and then Austin Theory replacing Rey Mysterio. After, Rey wasn't happy, and apparently him and Mr. Adam Pearce had an agreement that that Dominic would be on Team Survivor Series for Monday Night Raw. Of course, that was changed. Excuse me. And Pearce wasn't that happy about Rey Mysterio questioning his manhood, so the main event tonight was Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley, in which Bobby Lashley, of course, beat the shit out of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio got some offense in, and then Rey Mysterio got killed after the match was over, allowing Austin Theory to come out. First off, having Adam Pearce take him off for his well-being and the well-being of the team, to then having Austin Theory come out, take out Dominic, and then get put on the team himself. I would be fine with them doing this if you would have did qualifying matches. You had an entire fucking month, and I know the word going around is that WWE feels that UFC showed that you don't have to you don't have to spend an entire month promoting a show. All you have to do is worry about the final 2 weeks. Well, Vince, Bruce, John Laurinaitis, you're not UFC. You're the WWE. You don't see WWE highlights on ESPN anymore. Coach doesn't work there anymore. Coach was working for you. I don't know where he's at now. Don't know, don't care. You don't have an ESPN spotlight for WWE anymore. That died the day you signed the WWE Network over the Peacock. Plain and simple. You don't have mainstream media talking, or mainstream sports media talking about WWE pushing WWE Survivor Series for you. Who gives a shit about Survivor Series? You need every single day, every single week, every single minute that you can to get this show, people excited for this show. You don't have, people wondering, how did AEW get away with having Eddie Kingston and CM Punk only build that match for 2 weeks and then have the fantastic match they did and have the investment of the fans? It's real, plain and simple. You don't have an Eddie Kingston or a CM Punk. You don't. You don't have two guys who are going to go out there and and even if you had two guys as great a talent on the mic as CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, they would be stifled. They would have fucking scripts of what they're allowed to say. The difference is Eddie Kingston and CM Punk went out there and said what they wanted to say, and Tony and TNT and all of them didn't care as long as they didn't go over a certain line. They didn't cross that line. They were real. Everything Eddie said came out of his voice, came out of his heart. Same thing for CM Punk. Everything felt real. If WWE even tried to attempt to do what Eddie and CM Punk did, it would feel forced. It would feel like it was disingenuous. Nobody would fucking believe the word coming out of either man's mouth. It would just be a dumpster fire of a build. You don't have that in WWE. So CM Punk and Eddie Kingston showed you that if you have two guys who apparently have never faced off against each other before, going back 15 plus years, and the hate and the animosity between one another, that's all you needed, and it came off as a hell of a build. You don't have that. Hell, half the people in these matches weren't even on the Raw or SmackDown brand, going just right before, before the draft. Had the draft been WrestleMania time, that would have been one thing. But you had the draft, and then you had 3 weeks between that and Crown Jewel, where the talents that you see on the Raw brand for the Survivor Series team, outside of Bobby Lashley, were now either on SmackDown or in NXT, 4 weeks beforehand. SmackDown, you have 1, maybe 2 talents that were on SmackDown. Everyone else was on Monday Night Raw. So I'm supposed to believe that these guys are pro Raw and pro SmackDown, even though they were on another brand not even 2 months ago? Nah, I ain't buying it. The Survivor Series build was fucking atrocious. Then, we finally get the confirmation it's going to be Biggie versus Roman Reigns. We did get a promo from Biggie, hyping up and trying to build towards Biggie versus Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. And honestly, even without the big super build that they've had, it's really the only thing outside of Becky and Charlotte that's had any type of effort into it, even though they weren't speaking about each other back and forth. Biggie, of course, being a member of the New Day, having to watch from home while his buds on SmackDown were getting dismantled and demolished by Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. That's all you've gotten over the last 3 weeks for Survivor Series, up until, I guess, Charlotte last week, and then Becky, Biggie, and the Usos, and RK Bro tonight. Hell, we didn't get a promo at all. Damian Priest has been MIA for the last few weeks since he beat up T-Bar, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Where's Damian Priest been? He's got a match against Nakamura at the pay-per-view. Not a single word, not even a fucking backstage promo from Damian Priest hyping up his match against Shinsuke Nakamura. This Survivor Series build has been a fucking atrocious. This is the last pay-per-view of 2021. There is no December pay-per-view unless you want to count anything from House of Glory, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or anything else. GCW, Ring of Honor. I know Ring of Honor has Final Battle. I believe GCW has something. I'm pretty sure. I know House of Glory, which is just started back up in New York, has a pay-per-view with Amazing Red versus Malachi Black at the in the middle of December. And I believe New Japan has a US show as well in December. But there is nothing from AEW or WWE in December. So this is your last effort to get people to care. Which, you know what that means? December is going to be a month where I think a lot of creators are going to take time off. Why? Because there's nothing to build towards till day one. And the way they built this pay-per-view, and the fact that day one is going to be on January 1st of next year. Christmas is on a Saturday, so Friday is going to be, of course, Christmas Eve, so that should be a taped episode. They're not going to do anything. We have 4 weeks in December before day one. So the 4th, the 11th, and probably, they're not going to have almost next to no build for day one. So December is definitely going to be one of those months that if you're a straight WWE fan and you take time off, you say, you know what, I need to just calm down, stop watching this show for a month, and maybe come back in January to see if something else is better, because that's the build towards the Royal Rumble the week after day one. Yeah, I can see people doing that. There's just nothing to look forward to in December for WWE. AEW, we'll see what happens. I'm sure we might see a Winter is Coming type show at the end of December. I mean, they might suggest something, I don't know. Battle of the Belts is going up. Of course, it's coming up in January. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, this is your last pay-per-view of the year. And you can't even give us any fucking effort to get people excited to want to see this fucking show. If it wasn't for the fact that I sit here and I do all this stuff, and I wish I was a lot better off than I was, I wouldn't be watching any of the shit, and I'd just watch Wednesday night and Friday night at 10 o'clock. But here we are. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Out comes Big E to a pop. He rushes the ring as Mike Rome does the introductions as the announcers hype Biggie versus Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. Biggie says there's a lot of people having their eyes on him since winning the WWE title. But with Thanksgiving right around the corner, he has plenty of presents to give, including the leftovers. He addresses Reigns and says it was just supposed to be brand versus brand, champion versus champion, but Reigns and his little cousins took it to the place where we can never come back from, as they put their hands on his family, and now he has to beat their asses like they stole something. Now he has to make sure there are empty Brooklyn hospital beds for Reigns. Now, and for those three. Now he has to take a piece of Reigns he will never be able to get back. But that is Sunday at Survivor Series. This is Monday Night Raw. He calls Kevin Owens a treacherous lying carcass out. He wants his treacherous lying carcass out here, so they can handle their business. Owens stops on the stage and said there's nothing more he'd love to do to get in the ring and beat the hell out of Big E again. And he will do that in a minute, but first he needs to address how Big E cost him his match with Seth Rollins last week. And how Big E questioning his authority and integrity, so he snapped last week, and could he not? How could he not snap? Owens was never lying, but it doesn't matter because Big E accused him and everyone loves Big E, so Big E and everyone judging him. Owens says everyone judging him can go to hell, including Big E. Who's getting louder. He goes on about how Big E has everyone thinking he's some bad guy scumbag, so he's going to be that bad guy. But much worse. Owens is about to break bad on everyone in the locker room, even everyone in the arenas across the world, and break bad on Big E. Owens wants Big E to understand that what happens from here on out is all Big E's fault. Big E says they've talked enough. He calls Owens to the ring. Owens heads to the back, but Big E gets out of the ring. He is going up the ramp. He's like, we ain't done with this shit, and walks his way. Gets almost to the back when out of nowhere, Jimmy and Jay attack him. They beat him up at ringside. They bring him back into the ring and they continue to attack. Taunting him on the mic, and they say Roman sends his regards and we'll see Big E on Sunday. They beat him up some more. When they hit chant for RK Bros, because this is going to be the Usos versus the RK Bros at Survivor Series. Riddle finally comes out, makes the save. Big E joins in, helping Riddle clear the ring. When Sonya Deville comes out and says, this might be unorthodox, this might be a spur of the moment, but everyone get their asses back to the ring so we can have a tag team match. No, Sonya, this is not unorthodox. No, Sonya, this isn't spur of the moment. This is same shit, different day, Monday Night Raw. This is something we see all the fucking time. Before we even go to commercial break, oh, look who it is. It's Seth Rollins. He's coming out to be on commentary. You know where this is going, don't you? So, we have ourselves a match. Doesn't last long at all. Big E launches Jay over the announce table. Rollins headset gets knocked off. He steps to Big E, but gets dropped. Big E comes back to the ring. Rollins follows and drops Riddle. The referee calls the match, and Big E and Riddle are triple team now. Out comes Randy Orton to make the save. We have ourselves a 6-man tag match. Player. Could you have not just made the 6-man tag team match from the start? You could have had Seth Rollins come out, join in on the beatdown, then have the RK Bros come out and make it a 6-man tag match. Did we have to go through? I just don't understand it. If your main goal is to have a 6-man tag team match, then make it a 6-man tag team match from the start and stop wasting our fucking time. So we get ourselves a 6-man tag team match. We got Rollins with a pair of rolling elbows to the head, rolls up Riddle, 1, 2, 3. After the Master Usos look to attack Riddle, but Orton rushes in and intercepts Jay for a big RKO out of nowhere. Riddle stands tall as Orton's music hits, then Big E stalks Jay and kneels him down, holding his face, tells Jay to tell his daddy Roman that his message was received loud and clear, but Big E also has a return message. Scoops Jay up and says this is for Roman, then drops him with the big ending. He yells at Jay some more as his music starts up. Biggie says it's on this Sunday at Survivor Series. Again, why could we not just get the 6-man tag match? We all knew it was going there. The minute you sent Seth Rollins out there to be on commentary, we all knew where this was going. Randy Orton conveniently wasn't out there with Matt Riddle. Of course, Randy Orton's getting a little fed up and getting pissed off that Matt Riddle will not listen to Orton and goes off and does his own thing, while Orton is trying to keep them together to keep the tag team titles for as long as possible. And this is definitely gonna lead to the breakup of the RK Bros. Is that Riddle keeps doing his own thing, Randy Orton gets fucking tired of it, and it's gonna cost them the tag team titles. And that's when Randy Orton's gonna turn on him and just take it out on him. But why could you not just give us the 6-man tag team match in the first place? There is no reason to go and waste our time. Do you really think it was worth wasting our time to have those guys go out there and have a 2-minute match just for it to be broken down into a disqualification, and then we're just gonna add these other 2 in and make a 6-man? Just come on, give us what we got, what you already have planned. Don't waste our time. We see how Piper Niven spoke out about Bianca Belair and then attacked her during the fatal 5-way match last week. Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Belair, and Belair says she doesn't make the rules around here, but Piper wants to mix it up with her. Then let's do it. She goes on about how Piper Niven keeps putting her nose in her business. Tamina walks up and they face off. Tamina says, "Tonight, your business is with me." Belair says, "Oh, well, I was hoping for Piper, but Tamina will do." Belair walks off and her music starts up as we get Tamina versus Bianca Belair. Why this match was happening, I couldn't tell you. Tamina, the only thing Tamina was really for was, being in that tag team with Natalya. That's all there is to it. But yeah. So yeah. I don't understand what the whole and the commentators just over the moon with the fact that, oh my god, look how strong Bianca Belair is, being able to put Tamina in the KOD to pick up the win. And I'm like, it's really not that impressive. She stands tall, music hits, out comes Piper Niven. She gets to Megan and says, now that Belair has a match, she must be exhausted. And she says, it'd be unfair for her to come to the ring and take advantage, but after Survivor Series, I'm looking for you. That's that. Last week we see a fatal 5-way becoming to see who become the #1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch. We go back to the ring and out comes big time Bex the man. Becky Lynch heads to the ring with the title in the air. She hits the ropes and poses on each side of the ring. She announces type up her match with the Showbot 9000. Back from break and Lynch is in the ring to take the mic and fans start chanting her name. She is supposed to be a heel. Remember that? She's supposed to be a heel, but yeah. So, when it comes to this promo, she was babyface for the beginning, and then Liv Morgan came out, and she tried to play a heel. I don't understand why they want to keep pushing her being heel. And no, and yeah, she did come out and say and confess this was not her idea to be a heel. It was Vince McMahon's idea. Anybody who thinks otherwise needs to get their head straight. So to show us a replay of what Showbot had to say about Becky on SmackDown. Where she said there was nothing natural about Lynch, and I'm thinking, this is coming from the most robotic, plastic-looking woman in WWE. Robot, if anybody has no right to talk about natural, it's Showbot. It's definitely not Showbot. Lynch says Flair is out here acting like she doesn't know who the hell she is. She says the person who used to be Flair's best friend, who rode everywhere with her, who was with her when every good moment, and there when the shoulder to cry on when needed. Lynch says she was the person who realized a friendship with a Flair has stipulations. You'd be the star, and I'd be the person in the background. She says She's also the person who said the hell with that friendship, slapped Flair so hard, sent Becky into a different stratosphere. This, of course, was SummerSlam 2018 when that slap happened, because it was supposed to be Carmella versus Becky for the SmackDown Women's Championship, until Flair was added to that match. And, of course, who won that match? Charbot. And the slap was actually supposed to turn Becky heel. That didn't go very well, especially since the heel promo that they had Becky cut the next Tuesday didn't go over very well. She goes how she rebuilt herself to be the top star. Like, she rebuilt herself time and time again to be the top star of the industry, making Flair dislike her own self. She says she'll make Flair face off with her on her own personal demons at Survivor Series. She says Survivor Series isn't about brand supremacy for her, it's now about personal legacy, and she'll beat the ever-loving piss out of Flair this Sunday. And that was a good promo. That part of the promo I enjoyed. I was like, this is the Becky we had before she went away to have a baby. This was what she used to be like all the time. Then Liv Morgan came out. Liv Morgan, of course, I'm like, yeah, I would love to see Liv Morgan be the SmackDown Women's Champion. I mean, the Raw Women's Champion. No doubt about it. But when you think about it, it's like, it'd be great to see what Liv can do in a Raw title match. See what she can do as a challenger. Maybe one day being a champion. But it's one of those things that I don't see them having her beat Becky Lynch. Honestly, there's nobody on Raw right now who could beat Becky Lynch. There's nobody. So, yeah, there is that. Out comes Liv Morgan. She apologized for interrupting this weird love-hate obsession thing with Flair and Lynch, as always seems to have. She says Becky just walked away from her last week and Liv can't let her do that again. Especially not after Liv finally won the opportunity she's been waiting to have a chance to have, and take that Raw Women's title from the person who she once admired most. She doesn't get many Lynch interrupted, said she only left to give Liv a moment last week because she doesn't get many of those. She says she once was Liv's biggest fan, and shows us a Talking Smack video from 4 months ago where Liv recalled how Becky said when Becky left last year, she found Liv, gave her a hug, and said, when I'm back, you will be champion. And then she left the Greek pregnancy. She never forgot that, but yet she's back, and she's not champion, but she would love to take the title off of Becky Lynch. Becky says, you know what, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for giving you so much high hopes, and you underperformed so badly while I was away. Becky says Liv can't say she held her down because I wasn't even around. Becky says some people have it, some people don't. She goes and says now that she's back, Liv, I told you that because now that I'm back, you're never getting your grubby little hands on this title. Liv says on behalf of the entire WWE Universe, she thinks that we can all agree that Big Time Bex is really Big Time Bitch. They go, Becky drops the belt, goes to do something, they tangled up. Becky goes for the manhandle slam. Liv counters and sends her across the ring out to the floor. And Becky retreats up the ramp for a minute, holding her arm. She says, you got lucky. She screams that Liv, she's telling Liv not to touch the belt as Liv picks up the championship and holds her in the air. Becky, of course, is throwing fit at the ringside. Liv holds the title and gets it back over to where Becky can grab it, and she takes it off. So, when this match is going to happen, again, I have no idea. You have a contender for both the WWE and Raw Women's Championship, and yet you don't have a pay-per-view in December. It would have made all the sense in the world to have a Clash of the Champions or a TLC pay-per-view in December, especially since you have a number one contender for both the WWE and the Raw Women's Champion, but yet you don't have a pay-per-view till day one. Are you really going to hold both of those title matches off for an entire month going into day one? I don't know. I just don't see that happening. But we'll have to wait and see. Orton and Riddle are backstage now. Orton is yelling at Riddle for always trying to be a hero and getting involved in other people's business, including Omos, and getting stomped away the last few weeks. He concerns like Orton says Riddle only needs to concern himself with the titles and RK Bro. Orton says all he cares about is the tag team and the titles. Riddle as usual, which frustrates Orton even more. Yells at him, storms off. The Street Profits walk up. Talk to Riddle. He says he needs to think more like Orton, but they say he should only when he's in the ring. To do so, we want the smoke comedy, and the Profits head to the ring for the match. Riddle says those guys are awesome. And the less we see from Riddle on the mic, the better. Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. Now, this could be a pseudo #1 contenders match if you think about it. Both of these, I would love to see the Street Profits get a title shot. They haven't, not the Street Profits, I'm sorry, the Alpha Academy get a title shot. They really haven't gotten nothing, even though they've been teaming together for a good part of the year. Otis reinvented himself. He cut off his beard, shaved his head, became the muscle for the Alpha Academy. Guys should be out there getting a tag team title opportunity. But do you think that they're going to beat the Street Profits? Oh, no. It was a decent match. Alpha Academy goes for the double team, but Dawkins holds Otis' leg from the floor. While Ford rolls Gable up for a close 2. Otis charges Dawkins at the ringside, but Dawkins sidesteps and sends him crashing into the barrier. Gable is up top, then Ford leaps off the top and stops him. Gable sends Ford back to the mat. Gable flies with the crossbody, but Ford rolls through and holds it for the pin and the win. And the Street Profits didn't just win, they survived the Alpha Academy. I wish when Gable's contract comes up, he would leave WWE. He could go to New Japan, have a much better career, not waste his prime years in a company that's not going to do shit with him, because look at his stature. Look how small he is. They're not going to give him anything. Even with a muscle like Otis. Otis just, I don't know, they don't care. I would love to see something done with the Alpha Academy. Chad Gable is too good to just be wasting away doing nothing. And it's a shame. It is an absolute shame. Ford and them celebrate Alpha Academy season in the ring, and that is that. We saw Bobby and Lashley return last week to defeat Dominic Mysterio and take a spot on Raw's team. We see a video from earlier today with Rey Mysterio approaching Adam Pearce and venting frustration over what happened last week. Rey says he and Pearce had a verbal agreement that Dominic would be on Team Raw at Survivor Series. Hey Rey, it's called a verbal agreement. There's no contract. Nothing in writing that says Dominic needs to be on Team Monday Night Raw. It was a verbal agreement. If Adam Pearce wants to back out of that verbal agreement, too fucking bad. And he asked Pearce if he's a man of his word or not. Pearce says in a very stern tone, Rey needs to stay in his lane. He is a legend in this business, but he needs to stay in his lane and not question what kind of man Pearce is. He says right now he's the man putting Rey in a match against Lashley for later tonight. So, that is your main event. So, then we get the Women's Tag Team Champions. One is on Team Survivor Series, one is not. So, the only other possible team you have is Queen Zelina Vega and Carmella. So, instead of giving us a tag team match between the tag team champions, Vega and Carmella, let's do 2 singles matches where it will be Nikki Trash versus Queen Zelina. And then we also have Carmella versus Rhea Ripley. And Zelina Vega wins. We did get a coming soon teaser vignette for Via Mahan. Who gives a shit about him? Because I sure as hell don't. Match didn't go very long. Vega wins with the code red because Nikki is spending too much time looking at Carmella instead of paying attention to Vega. I don't know why. Is she really that good looking that you can't keep your eyes on your opponent? Come on, Nikki. And that was that. Carmella leans to the ropes and taunts Nikki, calling her a loser. Ripley gets ready for the next match as fans cheer her on. Ripley enters the ring and faces off Carmella, but Carmella retreats to the floor, stands with Vega. They yell at her so she can go get her mask on. So we come back from the ring, and Rhea Ripley is just woman handling Carmella. And she's just Carmella has no shot in this match. She's just getting beaten from pillar to post and just being toyed with, used, and abused by Rhea Ripley. This match was a one-sided ass-kicking contest, and Rhea Ripley wins. After the match, music hits, stands tall. Vega takes the mic in her terrible English accent, says, "This was a fluke victory. It doesn't change a thing because Our Majesty, Queen Zelina, and the most beautiful woman, Carmella, will lead Team Raw to victory at Survivor Series, while Nikki sits at home alone with the losers." Vega laughs, and the boos get louder. Nikki is just, you can definitely tell she is very, very, very upset. Like, she's on the verge of crying because her feelings got hurt. Yeah, she's gonna be sitting home with the losers, or just sitting at home with her husband Damo, while she watches Survivor Series. Biggie approaches Adam Pearce, who called him in. He talks about how Team Raw needs Biggie to come through on Survivor Series. Biggie talks about everything that's going on, and Pearce says he needs Biggie to be above all that for now. He says, "Now, you're not going to get involved at all with this Kevin Owens Finn Balor match," because he seems, I don't know if I made this clear. I don't know if I'm going to make this clear enough, but I got two words for you. Brock Lesnar. Pretty much saying is, if you get involved with this, I'm going to fine you and I'm going to suspend you. So Biggie leaves and we don't see him the rest of the night. Again, I don't understand how Adam Pearce is pro Raw here. Adam Pearce is the general manager, authority figure, whatever, on both Raw and SmackDown. So why does it fucking matter who wins and who loses? If he was Monday Night Raw's general manager, commissioner, whatever you want to call it, and Sonya Deville was SmackDown's, it'd make more sense. But the fact that he's on Raw and SmackDown, and he just suspended Brock Lesnar 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, makes this whole, I'm pro Raw, I'm raising the Raw flag, I got Raw running through my veins. It makes no fucking sense. Why does he have such a vested interest in Monday Night Raw all of a sudden? When he runs, he's the on-screen authority figure for both fucking shows. Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, this by far, of course, was the best match of the night. These two are so fucking good at what they do. They do give us a commercial before the match happens with Bruno Sammartino being sold at the Barclays Center. It's going to be a limited edition t-shirts during Survivor Series this coming Sunday, then a regular commercial break. Back from break, we see some Indianapolis Colts at ringside. Who gives a shit? Kevin McKenzie stops Seth Rollins. He asked about being part of Team Raw, and Rollins says he won't be a part of Team Raw. He will lead Team Raw to win because that's what he does. Just as he led the Usos to victory tonight, and says after Sunday he will turn his attention to Big E and will take the WWE title, then lead Raw to the mountain top because he is the visionary, the revolutionary. He is Seth freaking Rollins. He laughs and walks off and yells at some handlers to not wake his baby who's in his bus, I guess. Go to the ring, and out comes Kevin Owens as Balor looks on for the ring. The bell rings, and these guys have a fight. This was a good match. I will say, if you want to look at some good, what WWE is probably going to be letting go very, very soon, and I hope Kevin Owens makes the smart move and doesn't stay with WWE because he's done everything he could in WWE. The only thing that Kevin Owens hasn't done in WWE, I think, has been a tag team champion. I think that's about it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. It's time to move on. He's never going to be a big name. He's never going to be the big star in WWE. He's never going to be the focal point. He's never going to be the guy that they go to for anything. Kevin Owens, it's time to bury that name and go to All Elite Wrestling and bring back Mount Rushmore. But these guys just tore it up. Damn good match here. How many times it did look like Balor was going to win when Kevin Owens does hit a stunner for the pin in the win in the middle of the ring. And that was basically that. Hell of a good match. These guys are just, it's Kevin Owens, it's Finn Balor. You don't expect anything less from these guys. Just gonna put it out there. Yeah. So, Kevin Owens, just counting down his days. I just feels like you can just tell how this guy looks. He's just counting down his days so he's able to walk away, go back. Like, he can move his family back to Quebec, Maribel, Quebec, Canada if he wants to, and leave WWE for good. He's done everything he's going to be able to do. The only thing he hasn't done is won a tag team title, but I don't think that really matters. He's never going to be the top guy. They gave him the Universal Championship pretty much out of that, necessity, because they didn't really have anybody else to give it to at the time. I mean, they could have given it to Seth, they could have given it to Roman, but they had other plans for those two. And you weren't going to give it to big fucking Cass. That was fucking, like, not even going to happen. So it was like, out of all those guys in that match, it was going to be Kevin Owens. His title reign was forgettable. He was a multi-time U.S. champion, multi-intercontinental champion, NXT champion. Not much else for him to do. We see footage from last week's WrestleMania 38 on sale ticket party, because we got to go through that again. And it's funny that they played the quote that Undertaker said that last time, which was WrestleMania 32, mind you. They put over 100,000 people into the stadium they're going to, which is AT&T Stadium, I believe what it's called. And now they're going to do it 2 nights in a row. And I'm thinking, no, you're not. No, you're not. The only way you get 100,000 people in that stadium 2 nights in a row is if there are people pay, if those tickets are given out for free, and they count everybody from the makeup department backstage to the prop department as people attending WrestleMania. Sarah Strapper starts AJ Styles and Omos backstage, asking about what happened last week with the Dirty Dogs. AJ says Ziggler and Roode aren't even on the same food chain as them. He says the tag team division would be a better place if the Usos would take out the New Day for good. He goes on about the Street Profits and calls them a bunch of goofs. Says you don't cross him or his own personal colossus. He brings up how Loki from the Avengers movies he says he has an army, but AJ says he has his Omos. AJ says Ziggler and Roode stole the win from them last week, but tonight Omos interrupts and grabs the mic and says tonight he will make the Dirty Dogs suffer. They walk off. Roode and Ziggler are backstage with the cameraman. Now they cut a promo on AJ comparing them to Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Twins movie. Who writes this shit, and how did this make it out of creative? Oh, it's shit like this that I just want to rip my hair out. AJ Styles and Omos versus Ziggler versus Roode. Was this even a match? Not really. This was AJ Styles and Omos. Omos pretty much destroying both guys, and AJ picking up a win with the phenomenal forearm. Not much else you can say there. What's it going to lead to? I don't know. I really wish AJ Styles and Omos would split, and Omos could go away, and AJ Styles can be a guy going after Biggie's WWE Championship and giving this guy some damn good matches. Sarah Shriver approaches Bobby Lashley backstage and says Dominic Mysterio should have never been on the spot, had his spot on Team Raw. Absolutely agreed. Bobby Lashley should have won the team in the first place, or we could have had fucking qualifying matches like a sane person would have booked. Says Ray wants no part of him, and the same goes for Team SmackDown. He says after he's done beating Ray tonight and Ray licks his wounds, that Ray can come to Survivor Series and watch from the apron as Lashley runs to Team SmackDown. Lashley says if anyone has a problem with what he says or does, he's not hard to find. And we go to our main event, Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley. This match was mid. Basically, Bobby Lashley beat the living fuck out of Rey Mysterio for 95% of the match. Rey Mysterio got some licks in. Rey Mysterio got a couple 619s in. And then went up top, hit the splash. Bobby Lashley just picked him up. Didn't even kick out. He just picked him up, got him in the hurt lock, swung him around, and killed Rey Mysterio for the night. Bobby Lashley won. Rey Mysterio, he did not let go for a bit. So eventually he does let go. Dominic just waits outside the ring. He knows if I go in there immediately, Lashley's gonna kill me like he did last week. And eventually he does come in. Lashley's like, it's not worth my time, and leaves. So Adam Pearce grabs a mic and comes out and says, you know, I'm only here looking out for the best of Survivor Series, and I'm going to it's my job to make sure we have the best competition possible at Survivor Series, which is why it pains me to say this, for the well-being of Team Raw, but more importantly, the well-being of Rey Mysterio, I have no choice but to remove Rey from Team Raw, with a replacement to be named later. He heads to the back, the fans boo. Austin Theory comes from behind and drops Dominic with the ATL. Theory goes on to take some selfies, but Pierce comes back out and says he likes Austin Theory's style. So Theory will be replacing Rey Mysterio on Team Raw. So Theory celebrates with a selfie of Ray and Dominic as officials tend to them. The Survivor Series Go Home edition of Raw goes off the air with Theory snapping some photos. Why did we not just do qualifying matches? Why did we do this? Why did you book it this way? It just irks me to no end. This was fucking stupid. So fucking stupid. This is the best you had for a go-home show. Every year, I swear every year, we say this is the worst go-home show for Survivor Series every single year. I don't think you can top this one, but I'm going to probably be wrong in 365 plus days or whatever Survivor Series 2022 will be. This was not even worth... It's funny. Last Wednesday was a go-home show to the pay-per-view known as Full Gear for AEW. Wednesday night was a damn good go-home show. You had matches that were fun, exciting, some that built some storylines for after Full Gear. You had a contract signing, which was damn good. You had other things. You had promo packages for like Eddie Kingston and CM Punk. Everything felt so good coming out of that go-home show. And then we come to Monday Night Raw tonight, and they just open their... They like... pull their drawers down and shit all over what we call a go-home show. This was horrendous television. I'm surprised I'm still awake because this was some boring-ass television, and WWE just shows you they don't give a shit. And this is another thing. I know the pay-per-view is known as Survivor Series. This ain't WrestleMania, and this ain't Royal Rumble. It does not sell itself in 2021. Survivor Series, I remember back watching Survivor Series back when the WWE Network came out, and you would sit there and I watched the early days of Survivor Series, where you had teams that actually got along. It's always now, oh, I wonder how Monday Night Raw's team's going to get along. How is SmackDown team's going to get along? You have on SmackDown Shotzi Blackheart and Sasha Banks, two people who don't like each other. They're on the same team. They have to put their differences aside to make Survivor Series, to make the Team SmackDown work. Monday Night Raw. Could Piper Niven come out and cost Bianca Belair her spot on the Survivor Series team? It's just so fucking stupid. Yes, the four title versus champion matches should be fucking good. Biggie versus Roman should be good. Shinsuke versus... and Corey Graves says Shinsuke versus Damian Priest probably could steal the night, and I can't disagree with him. It most likely could steal the night. You have RK Bro versus the Usos. That'll be a good match. And then, of course, Charlotte 9000 versus the man Becky Lynch. That should also be another good one because it's two of the four horsewomen, and Charlotte doesn't try and steal the thunder of Becky Lynch because Becky is more over than Charlotte. And that's... See, Becky did not mention this in her promo. Charlotte just doesn't hate herself. She hates the fact that Becky is more over than than Charlotte ever has been. The fans love Becky more than they ever loved Charlotte. It's just a fact. Becky went out there tonight, and she had this she just comes out and she just has this aura of the biggest star in professional wrestling for the women. Sasha's up there, but she's not on Becky's level yet. Sasha should be up there, but how many times they fucked her over is a big reason why she's not up in the same stratosphere as a Becky Lynch. But yeah, this show just and I hate to see what they're gonna do on SmackDown. Apparently, Roman Reigns is gonna be keeping Xavier Woods' crown. So what was the point of making him king of the ring if he easily loses his crown that fast? It's just stupid. All of it is just fucking stupid. This company, I want this company to get better, but I want them to fall before they start getting better, because you don't get better if things don't start going bad for you first. They're just on a high because they just make all this fucking stupid amount of money. They could fire all the talent they want because they have a performance center down there in Orlando that is just overflowing with talent that they can just churn out, throw on NXT 2.0 for a few weeks, bring them up to SmackDown and Raw, and then just fire other talent go. Honestly, this company needs to be knocked down a few pegs, maybe 10, before they start going, well, we need to do better, or our company is going to start suffering. Monday Night Raw, again, another trash show. Can't talk about it anymore. I'm getting out of here. You guys have a good one. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the Frons Club. Find me on twitch.tv/the Club. And find me on Instagram at the Frons Club. And I'll see you guys Wednesday for a National Cowboy Shit Day, as Hangman Adam Page will celebrate in his hometown. Danielson will take on Evil Uno, and so much more. And Leo Rush is back. Jay Lethal makes his debut, and so much more. Until then, my name is Franz, and I'll see you guys later.